Hey guys, it's Miss Binion,
And Mr. Holden.
and we're here with Progressive Era Video 3 for Progressive Presidents. This is our learning target, discuss the major goals of the progressives and muckrakers, and the essential question is how did progressives try to change life in the U.S. in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So we're going to try to go as quickly as we can. When 5 minutes is up, we'll finish whatever we didn't get done in class. Alright, so we'll be looking at these political cartoons. We're going to be talking about them in class and using them to create your own political cartoons. And we're going to kind of discuss what each one means.
And one of those progressive presidents is Teddy Roosevelt. He's known as the Rough Rider, or really progressive, one of the most progressive, and he gets a lot of things done for the people in America. And as you see, he's McKinley's vice president at the time. So he's the vice president when McKinley gets shot, and then he'll eventually take over the presidency, as we see in the next slide. McKinley was assassinated by an anarchist person who didn't like the government, and so he got rid of McKinley, and then Teddy Roosevelt took over and served for the next 8 years and changed a lot of things in America.
Teddy Roosevelt is the first reform president. He expands the role of the presidency. So, he takes on more power than previous presidents to change things in America. He had the Square Deal. We have the 3 C's of the Square Deal. The first one is he wanted to control corporations, which means he accepts big businesses, but he attacks irresponsible ones. So you can see in this picture here with he's got the bad trust underneath him, and he's got the good trust on a lease. Okay, and they call him the trust buster. He also took down the railroads with the Elkins Act and the Hepburn Act and made sure that they had fair pricing. He's also the first president to mediate between owners and a labor union. In this coal miner strike, you can see here, he's the first president that will actually come in and mediate. Second C of the Square Deal is consumer protection. Basically, unchecked business created dangers for consumers, as you read in the journal, The Jungle the other day by Upton Sinclair. And then we'll cover this picture in class, but basically you need to know what you're eating. So that's where he came out with some new legislation. So here's some of the things. These are, you can see the best hairdressing cocaine. They use cocaine for killing dandruff, and cocaine tablets here, and these are cocaine toothache drops. So basically people just didn't really know what they were ingesting. This one is for babies, 5 days old, 5 drops, 46% alcohol, which is
That's a lot.
Unheard of today. Yes. Okay. There's cough medicine with heroin in it. So basically, they're going to regulate what goes in things. So after the Jungle, Teddy Roosevelt gets past the Pure Food and Drug Act, the Meat Inspection Act, and the FDA, all things that are going to regulate what goes in what we eat. The third C is the conservation of natural resources. So Teddy Roosevelt really spent a lot of time making sure to set aside lands for national forests and to preserve land. And then this is him riding a bull moose, which we'll get to in just a second. Well, it's a moose. This is a lot of the lands. You can see national parks and national forests. Now, I said forks. National forests. Sorry. These are the national forests. He didn't do all of these, but he helped set this in motion. And so you could write down expanded national parks and forests. All right, so then we move on to William Howard Taft. And how would you describe him based on these? These political cartoons are much different than Teddy Roosevelt's.
I'd say he's pretty big.
Yeah, he's big. So he basically, one of these things that is talking about is William Howard Taft busted so many trusts he lost support of his party. So he doesn't see that there being any good or bad trusts. All right, and so he was picked as Teddy Roosevelt's successor, and Teddy Roosevelt expected him to continue. However, some of his progressive reforms, he was very progressive, and he was more conservative than Teddy Roosevelt. But if you look down here, it says Taft busted more trusts than Teddy Roosevelt. He did not distinguish between good and bad trusts, including U.S. Steel, a trust personally approved by Teddy Roosevelt, and Taft fired Teddy Roosevelt's good friend, Gifford Pinchot, who was appointed by TR as the first chief of the United States Forest Service for speaking out against Taft. So basically, he was much tougher than Roosevelt wanted him to be. So, of course, Teddy Roosevelt, who was on a tour of Africa at the time, was upset, and he started speaking out against Taft. Okay, and so that brings us to the election of 1912, where Taft is supposed to be running for a second term, but Teddy Roosevelt's like, hey, I'm going to add myself in here. So Taft wins the Republican nomination, and Teddy Roosevelt's really mad because he wants to be president again, but America doesn't want a president for a third term. So he forms his own progressive party, aka we call it the Bull Moose Party.
And this is bad because now that since Taft and Roosevelt are both running, that means that both parties will split votes, and that actually impacts their party, that they're not getting all the votes they need to win. And so we see that Woodrow Wilson actually wins the president because of this. You see that if Roosevelt's votes and Taft's votes were added together, they would have enough to beat Wilson. But since that happened, Wilson actually wins the presidency in 1912. So.
And that's the problem with the third party. Now, at the same time, Teddy Roosevelt got shot during one of his speeches, and it's pretty awesome because it went straight through his glass pocket and went through his speech, and he continued the speech. So he's a Rough Rider, all right.
He's a baller.
All right, guys, we'll finish the rest in class. Hope you have a great day. Sorry about all the mistakes. That's life. Love ya.
Bye.